Well, it's a great pleasure and honor to be here. First of all, thanks to HUA to give me this opportunity to learn about our ancient, the grandest culture, I call it. Uh, and then also thanks to our professor, Dr. Mahapatra, for teaching us of Shastra. It was my first introduction to it, and I'm totally fluent. So, my topic is actually, I would call it a amalgamation of political science and dharma knowledge. So you see in the title itself, you see the title is Bharat's Strategic Culture Enshrined in the Purusharthas, a continuity from antiquity. By the way, I've never done any presentation in humanities. I'm a doctor, I'm a psychiatrist. I've done plenty in scientific realm, but none in this area. So this is my first foray, so to speak, into humanity. So thank you for the opportunity. So, what is strategic culture? We'll call it SC for this discussion, just to make it short. Okay, just to kind of walk you through the main points of the paper. So as I was taking the class and reading certain texts, the concept of SC came up, and most of the scholars, many scholars, both of Indian origin and non-Indian origin, they contend that Bharat never had a robust SC, and if it had one, it was kind of loosey-goosey, for the lack of a better term. It did not sit well with me even from my limited knowledge of Bharatiya culture. So I started to delve into it a little bit deeper. So the first bullet point speaks to the fact that they have all kinds of different, very disparate thought process on SC of Bharat. And I argue that none of them ever fully and cogently capture the underlying essence of this SC of unoccupied and unencumbered Bharat. When I was doing research for this term paper, I also realized that what are the challenges? Why is that so? And I think that's because, and I'll come back to that. And then finally, I came up with a novel formulation that has not been discussed before. So I'm going to present that to you. So this is a relatively new concept in political science. Jack Snyder was the first to coin this phrase. And you can see it's a sum total of ideas, conditioned emotional responses, please underline that, and patterns of habitual behavior that members of a national strategic community have acquired through instruction or imitation and share with each other. And you can see how that study was actually funded by Air Force and RAND Corporation. Now I'm going to share with you a few more definitions of it so you can get some sense. On purpose, I bolded the main. So if you look at Booth and Trude, the lasting set of beliefs, values, influences of geopolitical setting, history, political culture, is persist over time. That's what really caught my time. And given the antiquity of our culture, I went on a hunt for SC of Bharat. Howlett, shared beliefs, assumptions, behavior, accepted narratives, both oral and written. I felt that was really relevant to our culture. Collective identity. If you move on to Mitra and Leavitt, dispositions and preferences, specific ranking of preferences. That sounds very much like Purusharthas to me. I mean, in terms of how the Purusharthas are formulated. Not merely the product of situational pragmatism, but conditioned by the respective states' culture and history. given that we have the oldest culture and history, and you're telling me that there is no SC for Bharat, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Um, 4, relevance of the cultural context. Again, not the contingent result of ad hoc decisions. That is also really important because it's not based on convenience. Okay? Oops, I don't know how it looks like that, but I apologize. So Mitra and Liebig, use two words to describe durability and inertia. And if you think about it, inertia is a byproduct of durability. If something is durable, there is some inertia in it. So the lack of mutation or mutability, if you want to call it. So how can we identify SC of a state? So when I was doing my reading, I came upon this by A.A. Johnston, that 4 very relevant methodological questions he actually asked. So what sources do we look at? Second, what time period? Third, what are the formative sources that really should be underlined? And was it transmitted through time? That goes back to durability and inertia concept. So here he goes into detail and it says that it begins at the earliest accessible. Earliest accessible is, point in history, that's Vedas for us. Where strategic cultural preference ranking. We have a lot of ranking in Vedas. All kinds of things been ranked. And then he goes into more detail, but look at the bottom comment. The longer the period across which this congruence stretches, the more powerful and persistent the SC. So this is how my idea came about Purusharthas. We already have that ranking preferences, right? It's from Vedas, the oldest time frame. It met all the criteria, that A.I. Johnson criteria. And that's why I came up with the idea of Purusharthas. So I didn't read it anywhere. It was really my own idea. So the first main paper that was published on SC of Bharat was, again, funded by US military and RAND Corporation. And George Stanham's, he just totally blows it big time, in my opinion. He claims that the India or Bharat did not have any SC. And he says the following, makes the following statement, which is totally ignorant, I think. Throughout history, India has lacked the experience of a pan-Indian state formation until the British Raj, the subcontinent was politically fragmented. Hindu culture lacks the concept of time and history. Can't you laugh at that? Totally laughable. Hindu understanding of human life is marked by mysticism, spirituality, and traditionalism. So I decided to rebut in all of his arguments. So, sorry. So first, he seems to equate the onset of British occupation of Bharat with the beginning of a substantive, cardinal, and positive geopolitical epoch. That's just a joke of a statement. With a stark oblivion to the great wars and unmatched opulence and substantial geopolitical consolidation of ancient Bharat, I have those pictures by design there. The first picture depicts the Battle of 10 Kings, the first war ever described on planet Earth in any great detail. And the second one is actually the Chandragupta and Alexander time. And second, he seems to have an intellectual blind spot for unparalleled connections of Hindu culture to antiquity, and thus a remarkable sense of history. And I should say time also there. Third, he demonstrates a woefully shallow knowledge of ancient, overarching, and integrative Hindu paradigms of spirituality, ethics, philosophy, science, etc. So each point that he talks about, he's way wrong. Um, and lastly, he makes only passing and superficial remarks on Kautilya's Shastra, arguably the most comprehensive and sophisticated work on statecraft and warfare ever written. Okay, it gets very interesting after this. So this is a study. Once again, look who sponsored that, and it's in complete contrast to the previous one. His conclusions. Okay, so I'll tell you what he said. So I'm going to read that slowly. So India's strategic culture is not monolithic, rather is mosaic-like, but as a composite is more distinct and coherent than that of most contemporary nation states. What a 180-degree turnaround, right? This is due to its substantial continuity with the symbolism of pre-modern Indian state system and threats of Vedic civilization dating back several millennia. It therefore draws on Kautilya's treatise, the Arthashastra, which closely parallels Niccolo, blah, 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 blah. And so, so he uses Arthashastra as the fulcrum in his, and I think many of the Indian scholars have made the same mistake. The Kautilya was a Vedic scholar. I just want to remind everybody that he was not just somebody, a gunslinger, that came out of the street and began doing this. So in pursuit of, sorry, I didn't have enough time. Sorry about that. Oh, I want to go to that. Okay, so what are the challenges? Why people are having so much challenge in conceptualizing SC? So number one is the oldest continuous culture, oldest literature Vedas, oldest language Sanskrit, cyclical chronology. That's not known to the Western, thinkers. Vedic concepts are intercosmic. They're not just for the earth. Intercosmic concept of moksha is not just for earth. All-encompassing, overarching, multidimensional, multi-textuals. That is why Western thinkers have so much problem conceptualizing an SC4 Bharat. So I went on a pursuit of Bharat's SC, a fully longitudinal view. The Vedic beginnings, Purusharthas, all of you know what Purusharthas is. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on that, so let's move on. I don't have a lot of time. Dharma, I'll just say, if you look at Dharma, I say multi-contextual, right? Raj Dharma, Dharma Yuddha, right? Rashtra Dharma. You see what I'm talking about? The same word gets used in different phases in very multi-contextual, multi-dimensional manner. And it's pretty much, read the second sentence, peace and security for all mortals within a cosmic order. I talked about that. I'm going to have to skip these because I don't have a lot of time. The artha often in itself is not the goal. If artha can be used to secure dharma, then it can also be used to achieve moksha. And we have many people have talked about this. Don't have time to really read that. Don't have time to read it. And so that's how I came up with this idea that essentially you have to go back to Purusharthas. So just examine this. Battle of 10 Kings, Rig Veda, social values, respect to earth, environment, peace for mankind. The Trivarga, Dharma, Artha, and Kama were described in Rig Veda. They described kings as very spiritual, God-fearing, conforming. They used to have a ministry of moral education, for God's sake. Satya. Okay? So, and Dharma Yuddha, that concept was actually spoken of at that point in time. Maharshi Vishwamitra and Vasistha were the guides of those kings. So, war of values. Go to Ramayana, Ram Rajya, Dharma Yuddha, dialogue between Rama and Bharata. It all talks about. Okay, I have to stop. Sorry, I ran out of time. I had too much.